Hello, everybody. The spiritual undertones of heavy metal music. With the passing of Ozzy yesterday, Ozzy Osbourne, I didn't post a video like I usually do for today. I spent the evening writing and editing what I've titled as A Journey Through the Music of Black Sabbath and Ozzy Osbourne on a spiritual level. Hi, friends, I'm Scott, and I welcome you to be one with me as we journey together to be the best we can. Yes, rest in peace, Ozzy Osbourne. In the noisy, riff-laden universe of heavy metal, it's easy to overlook the whispers of the soul, that buried beneath the distortion, the fury, and the chaos is something far older and more sacred. It's an invitation to awaken. The world often dismisses heavy metal as noise, rebellion, or spectacle. The deeper current running through Black Sabbath's music is, particularly during the Ozzy years, Ozzy Osbourne years, as the front man, he delivered more than just music. The music offers something many overlook. And it's an exploration of the soul's journey through darkness, doubt, transformation, and awakening. And they offered a mirror to the soul, a modern book of shadows, if you want to look at it that way. For those navigating the darkness in search of light, through the tales of temptation, solitude, existential crisis, and redemptive hope. Their lyrics paint a raw and unfiltered picture of the human spirit's dance with divinity. What if these thunderous riffs were not just sound, but spiritual fire? What if Ozzy wasn't just screaming into the void, but inviting us to ask, what do I believe in? Who am I when everything is when everything falls apart? What is sacred in my suffering? Their spiritual commentary begins almost unexpected or unexpectedly with the song After Forever. It's a track that doesn't hide behind metaphor. That invitation starts boldly. It opens with the probing line, have you ever thought about your soul? Can it be saved? This is not the typical banter for a rock band. It's theology with a backbeat. Not just a lyric. This song directly challenges listeners to reflect on their faith and the existence of God. When was the last time you paused and long enough to even consider the state of your own soul? Do you believe in something greater than yourself? Or have you adopted skepticism as a shield against vulnerability? And more importantly, Is is your doubt genuine inquiry, or is it inherited from a world that fears faith? The song critiques blind religious hypocrisy while boldly affirming belief in God, not as dogma, but as personal truth. It's a challenge. If you mock belief, have you ever truly asked yourself what you believe in? And more importantly, why? Why that push for self-inquiry? Blunt, even uncomfortable, is precisely where spiritual growth begins. This isn't a song for those content with surface living, you know. After Forever pushes buttons and cracks open the mind. You know, perhaps you'll think before you say that God is dead and gone. You know, Ozzy warned it's an uncomfortable truth because behind the arrogance of dismissal often lies a wounded heart, afraid that belief will cost too much. So ask yourself, have I closed off to spirit because I'm genuinely inconvenienced? Or because I'm afraid to be wrong? Then there's the song Solitude, a stark contrast in the as if the high of confrontation in After Forever collapses into soft weeping. You know, it delves into the themes of inner peace and existential loneliness. You know, Ozzy's vocals float gently over the melancholy, melancholy melody, and that it doesn't preach; it whispers. My name is loneliness, and I'm the best friend you have. This isn't just sadness, it's spiritual exile. It's the voice of the soul when it's been silenced by life's noise and no longer knows how to call home. You know, listening to this song can feel like entering a quiet chapter of the heart. You know, bare and honest and sacred in its stillness. Have you felt that kind of ache? You know, that kind that doesn't scream but lingers in the corners of your heart when everything is still. You know, when you're alone with your breath, what rises? You know, do you numb it, distract from it, run from it, or sit with it like like it's a teacher? What would happen if you didn't push that loneliness away? Could it be that the very thing you fear, solitude, is the only thing deep enough to carry you home? But what happens when that loneliness transforms into something more universal, something invitable, the sound of the sound of breaking, of leaving behind what once felt safe. That's where the song Changes comes in. It's a soulful, I'm going through changes. It's a soulful explanation of personal transformation and the inevitability of change. Going through changes, as he sings with unmasked vulnerability. It isn't about just the breakdown of a relationship or a fading season. It's musical sacrament to the truth that life never stays the same. In this track, we're offered an invitation to grieve, but also to embrace evolution. It's an anthem for those at the threshold between the past and the future. It's wrestling with the truth that nothing and no one remains untouched by time. I mean, have you noticed how few people will admit they are going through changes? We hide our unraveling behind forced smiles and filtered pictures, but this song asks, what are you changing into? What are you releasing, and are you brave enough to let it die? And more critically, what identity are you still clinging to, even though it no longer fits who you are becoming? From that place of rawness, Ozzy throws us into resistance with what's the song? Oh, I don't want to change the world. The line, I don't want the world to change me. Yeah, that's metal for you. From personal transition, the music shifts to larger existential resilience, a rebellious anthem about staying true to oneself. On the surface, it sounds like defiance. I don't want to change the world. I don't want the world to change me. He's declaring it's easy to sing along to, but hard to live. Have you bent yourself? Goodness. Have you bent yourself to fit the expectations of others? Are you living a version of your life that keeps the pace but kills your passion? What masks do you wear to survive, and who might you be if you let them fall off? But behind, all that bravado lies a plea for authenticity in, a world that constantly demands conformity. This is spiritual resilience dressed in leather, a statement standing in your truth, especially when the world wants you silent. It's an act of rebellion. As the spiritual arc of these songs unfolds, we find ourselves moving from raw personal emotion into more layered and complex existential territory. With Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath, Black Sabbath gives us not just a song, but a descent into the shadow. The title alone evokes spiritual warfare. You know, not between denominations, but between inner worlds. Let's see here. You've seen life through distorted eyes. You know you had to learn. Ozzy cries, lifting the veil on the mental anguish that comes when your soul recognizes that something in your life or even in society is out of alignment. You know, this song doesn't offer comfort. It tears away illusions, revealing the cost of spiritual ignorance and the pain of waking up. If changes was the moment of transformation, Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath, is the resistance we meet on that path. You know, it's the battle between ego and spirit, between the artificial scaffolding of identity and the call to live authentically, no matter the cost. And maybe that's why it hits so hard. It doesn't just describe the darkness. It says you're not crazy for being in it. As that internal struggle continues, the search for meaning often feels aimless, like wandering in a fog. That mood saturates the song Road to Nowhere. Ozzy admits plainly, I was looking back on my life and all the things I've done to me. It's a song of reckoning, but not condemnation. There's humility here, and a rare trait in rock anthems. This road isn't about regret. It's about spiritual exhaustion. He's pointing out, let's see. He's not pointing fingers at the world anymore. He's sitting with the consequences of his own choices. Yet there's also something sacred in this journey of uncertainty. You know, the road may feel like it leads nowhere, but what if the nowhere is really the silence between what was and what will be? In the chaos of life, not knowing can be a spiritual teacher. We want certainty, but growth demands we pass through the fog. Ozzy didn't offer a way out. He just walks with us, and that's holy in its own right. From here, the journey explodes into the infinite into the void. Great song. It's cosmic, expansive, a galactic chant for those who feel trapped by the modern world and long to escape into something pure. Freedom. How does it go? freedom fighters sent out to the sun, he's saying, suggesting an exodus, not from earth, but from structures that suffocate the soul. The void here isn't nihilism. It's potential. It's what mystics call the great silence, the beginning of creation itself. And in Sabbath's hands, it was heavy, liberating, and sacred. But not all encounters with the infinite are hopeful. In God is Dead, released, decades after their early work, Sabbath returned, as elder prophets, with the line, "Will someone please tell me, is God really dead?" They echo the famous Nietzschean cry, not as a declaration, but as a wounded question. This isn't teenage rebellion, it's grown man disillusionment. The world, they seem to say, has become so fractured, so violent, so removed from its spiritual center that the divine itself seems absent. And yet underneath the question lies the deeper yearning. We want God to be alive. We want something real, something true, something that something eternal to hold on to. This song is the soundtrack for spiritual disillusionment and space that anyone on the path eventually walks through. The lyrics don't answer the question because they don't need to. It's asking it out loud itself is an act of faith. Finally, the journey bends back toward the personal with a hauntingly simple song, Time. It isn't a hit single. It's more like a whispered reflection, a late night journal entry set to music. Time waits for no one, Ozzy sings, as if both warring and it's a blessing at this point in the anthology. We feel the weight of years of mistakes made and lessons learned. And this song doesn't push or preach, it pauses. It invites us to consider how we're spending the only thing we truly own, our time. And that's what ties this entire arc together. Beneath the distortion, the drama, the doom-laden riffs, Black Sabbath and Ozzy, they weren't selling rebellion. They were inviting us to awaken. They were saying life is hard, yes, but inside that hardship, there's something holy. There is something more. Each song becomes a stepping stone across the wide river, the kind that you only cross barefoot. and slow, with your heart open. From after forever to time, we're not just listening to music. We're moving through the cycles of human consciousness. And, faith, doubt, grief, defiance, and awakening. These songs hold up a mirror, not just to society, but to your own spiritual reflection. So here's the question these songs ultimately ask. Where are you in the ark? Are you stuck in solitude, lost in the road to nowhere, or hearing the faint whisper of a dream that you still believe in? What is changing within you? And are you resisting it or surrendering to it? Are you waiting for someone to save you? Or are you willing to step into the void and see what's on the other side? You don't need religion to walk this path. You just need ears to hear and a heart willing to break open. Because somewhere between Sabbath's growl and Ozzy's cry is the very thing we're all searching for. The truth that even in the darkest riffs, the soul still sings. And sacred preservation. And then comes Dreamer. And here's the heavy armor. Here the heavy armor drops entirely. It's one of the few songs where Ozzy openly speaks to the future of the world, singing, "I'm just a dreamer. I dream my life away." It's beautiful, but also haunting. In those lines, he's not just speaking about personal hope, but the collective human longing for peace, harmony, and meaning. It's a soft prayer hidden in a mainstream melody, a confession of the soul's yearning for a more conscious world. We don't just hear a man who's seen too much. We hear a seeker holding on to the last threads of light. What are you dreaming about? Is your dream rooted in fear or in love? Here's the hardest question. Have you stopped dreaming altogether? If your inner child, the one who still believes in peace, wonder, and possibility, could whisper in your ear right now, what would they beg you not to forget? Each song becomes a stepping stone across and we have to kind of go with it, and you know, not just listening to music. You know, we're moving, you know, through the cycles of of human consciousness. That's good stuff, you know. You know, Ozzy will be truly missed, you know, but it left behind some great works and great spiritual reflections, you know, and ultimately, you know, these songs, you know, they're a lot deeper than we give them credit for. Yeah. It's good stuff. Yeah. I spent some time in reflection. I'd seen Ozzy Osbourne, you know, back in 1983, something like that. 84. I saw him on both the Blizzard tour with saw him on the Blizzard tour, and then I saw him on the Diary Madman tour, and you know, a couple other times too, but yeah. And you know, the question isn't are these songs spiritual? The real question is, are you willing to let them wake something up in you? Because somewhere between Sabbath's growl and Ozzy's cry, you know, is the very thing we're all searching for, and you know, it's the truth, and you know, our soul sings. And what makes the anthology of their songs spiritual is that you know, not that they preach, but that they provoke. They aren't sermons, they're soundtracks for a soul in transition. Together, they offer a mirror to your own life, you know, beliefs and your doubts, your hidden wounds, your buried dreams. Ozzy Osbourne and Black Sabbath didn't sing about angels and saints. They sang about the struggle, the real gritty midnight of the soul moments that most spiritual traditions quietly tiptoe around. We were truly blessed to have had Ozzy in our time. Thank you for watching. Visit beonewithme.com, and remember, a smile can make someone's day, and the right words may change their life. Yeah, be you, be one with me. Rest in peace, Ozzy.